and welcome yet again. This is the analysis of A Silent Song and Other Stories, an anthology of short stories compiled by Godwin. Soon we are moving on to the next short story. Now, this short story is called Ivory Bangles by Eric Ngamirio, all the way from Tanzania. If you like this content and you want to receive more of such content, please hit the subscription button and follow this channel. On to it. Ivory Bangles is a short story set in full tradition. Eric Ngabiro is trying to bring tradition to question through aspects that we are going to encounter through our two main characters. One is called the wife, another one is the old man. So those are the two main characters, the wife and the old man. I've said the story is set in rich tradition. We want to question tradition and whether tradition holds water in that particular regard. Now, the story begins with this old man, our main character, or one of the two main characters. He's walking home and he's in full trouble. He's troubled by words that he's been told by the seer. He had gone to consult the seer after he had noticed specks of blood on the liver of the goat that he had slaughtered. And of course, traditionally, this is a great taboo. So he went to seek the seer, and the seer's pebble said that a wife was going to die. And then, to form perspective, the spirits were unhappy. In fact, maybe jealous of the fact that the old man's wife had never been beaten, had never been molested, or given what traditionally is called the ritual beating. So Eric Ngamirio is pointing towards the theme of wife battering, or wife beating, or wife molesting. That when you marry, the first thing you have to do is beat your wife completely unprovoked and for no reason, to appease the spirits. Now, the people say that he had to give his wife a thorough beating and send her back to her parents after that beating. But there's one problem. And this problem is that the old man loves his wife. In fact, he's the only wife that he has, against the backdrop of tradition that demands for polygamy, especially for a man of his status, being the chief's counselor. But there's evidence of love that has been fronted by Eric Ngamirio. Number one, when the old man arrives home, the girl or the woman, remember this is a younger woman as compared to this old man, so she removes his leather sandals and bathes him. She helps him to take a bath. She washes him. Look at that. She removes her sandals and also bathes him. He also affectionately refers to her as a girl, as girl. That's what he refers to her, girl. And then the wife does not allow him to say what is on his mind. Remember, he's disturbed by what the by the seer had said. That is, the priest had said. So the wife, out of love, does not allow him to say what is on his mind before he has eaten. He has to eat first. In fact, she says this: we'll talk about it after the meal. She insists with, eat your food, it is getting cold. Not every woman will tell their husband, eat your food, it's getting cold. It's out of affection. The old man also appreciates her cooking with a compliment. You cook, woman, you cook, woman. So there is something I raised on the value for polygamy, or value attached to polygamy. And we are told that this old man is talked about because he only has one wife and only one child, a son called Kabanda. And this was unheard of in the society from which we are drawing this story, Ivory Bangles. Speaking of the title Ivory Bangles, it is coined from the 24 ivory bangles worn by the wife. the wife to the old man, she wears 24 ivory bangles. She received them during their son's naming ceremony. And this is a pointer to wildlife humanity conflict, as it will be evidenced at the end of the short story. So there is that conflict between wildlife and human beings, but of course I will highlight on it towards the end to put this short story into perspective. So these ivory bangles were gifted to her by the old man, her husband, after he shot an elephant with a poisoned arrow to carve the bangles. And that night, after preparing a good meal for her husband, she sleeps with her husband, the old man, and instead of her small husband, her son Kabanda. So remember, in the society from which this story is drawn, men are referred to as husbands. Even your own son will be your husband. So there's the small husband and then her real husband. So she sleeps with her husband to show affection. And then while in bed, the old man tells his wife that the spirits want her to be given the ritual beating. But the woman feels that the seer is misguided in demanding for her beating because in flashback, she had refused his hand in marriage, and she even refers to the seer as an old vulture. And because of that, she comes up with a plan that she will pretend she had been beaten. She'll go to her elder brother's house. She's going to her elder brother's house because she has no parents, and the elder brother is now standing in as her father. So she'll go to her elder brother's house and complain that she had been beaten. She will stay there until her husband came to ask her to go back with him. And then after that, he would pay a fine and the spirits will be fooled. That is the plan that she has come up with. And remember, Eric Ngamiro is trying also to point towards the need to heed advice. When you are given advice, you are supposed to heed that advice. And in this particular regard, we meet this husband, old man, and his wife, and they are not heeding to advice. And of course, maybe this will prove to be costly. However, we are told that there are elephants on the loose and hunters are going after them with their poisoned arrows. So there are scouts perched on trees and they're warning people, calling out people about the movement of these beasts. In fact, there are a total of 6 elephants, one bull, and 5 cows. But before setting off to her brother's homestead, the wife decides that she's going to cook and then do some digging or cultivation on a weedy groove or patch. But unfortunately, one of the wounded, in fact, the bull elephant, which is wounded, finds her in her farm, tramples upon her, burying her in a shallow grave. Flesh and blood is everywhere, and then she's the shattered ivory bangles. I don't know if you will say this is an accident or fate. Is it a result of not heeding to advice, or it's just mere accident? Now, I said I will pinpoint the idea that there's conflict between human beings and wildlife. Remember the old man, for him to gift his wife 24 ivory bangles, he had to kill an elephant in order to carve those bangles. And in retaliation, an elephant has killed his wife. So basically, Eric Ngamiro is trying to point towards tradition and the need for people to heed advice and react or act on information. What is the possible cases equation from this short story? Now, the possible cases equation is there is great need to heed advice to avoid calamities. Write an essay with evidence from Eric Ngamiro's Ivory Bangles. And just like I said, there's evidence that characters in this short story, Ivory Bangles, do not heed advice. First, the pebbles demand that the old man should give his wife a ritual beating. He does not do that. He's also been advised to marry a second wife, and he does not marry a second wife. Well, maybe because of love, but again, this is richly in traditional setup. And in a traditional setup, maybe monogamy is something unheard of. And then the scouts are calling for people to be careful because there are elephants on the loose, and the wife does not heed to the advice. Instead, she continues to carry on with her activities as she imagines and as she plans, and eventually she's trampled upon by an elephant, causing her death. So that is it for Ivory Bangles. Remember, if you like this content, please hit the subscription button so that you can receive more of that. Until next time, bye.